2 teens arrested for trying to break into a gun shop, and an 11-year-old allegedly connected to more than a dozen car thefts.
And we're seeing this younger and younger.
We have team coverage on the magnitude of calls to change juvenile justice laws and to hold more young people accountable.
I was there, you weren't there, so how are you going to say?
We in West Baltimore, chill out.
A heated exchange with the mayor sparks outrage from one city resident.
It was egregious.
Why she believes he's disrespecting certain communities. Residents demanding more community engagement from police.
I have over 100 videos on my phone of you all's police watching these people commit crimes.
Why some say this engagement is key to preventing tragedies like the Brooklyn Day mass shooting.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Maxine Stryker.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Fox 45 News demands accountability tonight as car thefts and carjacking soar in Baltimore City and even beyond. Many times, young people are the suspects.
According to the latest crime report, there have been 309 carjackings this year in Baltimore City alone. There has been a total of 6,526 auto thefts. That's up 24% from the previous year. In just 28 days from July 23rd to August 19th, there were 1,502 auto thefts alone, which is up 355% from the year before. The problem not just in Baltimore City. It happened in Baltimore County just last night. 2 teens are now facing charges related to an attempted break-in at a local gun shop. Police say they also fled the scene in a stolen car.
Well, that crime in the county comes days after an 11-year-old was arrested in connection with more than a dozen car thefts across the region. That 11-year-old can't be charged under state law because he's too young. Now there are growing calls for lawmakers to do something to change those laws. We have team coverage tonight. Rebecca Pryor looks at last night's attempted burglary in Baltimore County.
We begin with Mackenzie Frost and more on that 11-year-old alleged serial carjacker.
We spoke with the 11-year-old's mom today, and it's really a complicated situation. She doesn't want to do an interview with us on camera, but she describes a broken juvenile justice system that isn't helping kids like her son. It's back to school time, and many kids who are 11 years old are getting ready to start middle school. Instead of sitting at a desk, these police reports obtained by Fox 45 News show a preteen and other young teenagers are sitting behind the wheels of stolen cars. Time and time again. Baltimore County Police pick up these kids and let some go right back to their parents, like the 11-year-old, too young to face charges. No consequences, and these reports show sometimes the kids are right back on the streets, stealing cars hours after sitting in a police precinct. Police often writing, due to his age, he was released without charge. One of the architects of the current Juvenile Restoration Act, the law preventing kids like this 11-year-old from facing charges for stealing cars, is State Senator Jill Carter. In January, defending her plan in the wake of early criticism at the start of the legislative session. Carter saying officers do have options for these young kids, like filing a child in need of supervision petition.
So they cannot enter into an entire life of criminality, and they can understand the consequences for their actions.
The Democrat from Baltimore City not responding to questions we sent her office Friday asking, do you believe the current juvenile justice laws need to change? Should there be penalties for kids of this age when they commit crimes? Instead, Carter pointing out the SINS petition on social media right after our reporting Thursday. It's a voluntary offering of services for these kids too young to face charges, counseling services and other wraparound services, but nothing is mandatory.
It's very frustrating.
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates says the current laws have contributed to the current environment of juvenile.
Safe.
total culpability is on the legislature because they could do something. They have the authority. They just won't. Our governor could call a special session. He has authority. He just won't. There will be no accountability. I don't care how much the mayor talks about it. I don't care how much Mr. Moore talks about it. I don't care how much the legislators talk about it, Mr. Ferguson or Ms. Jones, until you exercise the authority that you have to curb that behavior. Maybe not change it, but curb it. So there's blood on their hands, whether it's the young person dying or the young person injuring and killing somebody else.
That brings us to our question of the day. Do you think the General Assembly is responsible for the surge in violent crime? So far, 96% of those who voted say yes. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
Well, lots of people talking about the juvenile crime crisis on social media. Let's take a look at what some people are saying. Right now, Jay Friedman says citizens get what they vote for. If they're tired of the crime, they need to recall the legislators who enacted these restrictions, or the governor can call an emergency special session. Damon Hamilton says at some point, when are we going to start holding these parents accountable for an 11-year-old kid getting caught 17 times? When are they going to start knocking on these parents' doors and charging them? I can almost promise that these teen crimes will diminish drastically. And Alan O'Connor says thanks to our MD lawmakers, teens get a free pass on any crime they commit.
Attention, Marylanders. The liberals are adding fuel to the chaos in your cities across the state. The Maryland State Legislature are architects of chaos and crime, and they deserve much of the blame for the rising crime rates, carjackings, thefts, and homicides. Here are the names of those responsible. Mr. Bill Ferguson, President of the Maryland Senate, Ms. Adrienne Jones, Speaker of the Maryland House, and Senator Jill Carter, the mastermind behind a disastrous bill that has infuriated citizens, prosecutors, state attorneys, and advocates, thrusting us into an era of carjackings, theft, rape, murder, smash and grabs, and drug dealing. Their laws have handcuffed prosecutors, police, and law enforcement, allowing criminals to run amok. Hold them accountable. Governor Wes Moore must now step up to the plate to protect the innocent from this criminal thuggery. He must work with state prosecutors, Ivan Bates, and others to change the senseless laws that this legislature has put in place. I'm Armstrong Williams.
That was political commentator Armstrong Williams. He sat down with Governor Wes Moore for a wide-ranging interview earlier this week. You can watch their full conversation this Saturday on MyTV Baltimore at 3 p.m. and later that same day on the CW at 6 p.m. Then on Sunday, it'll air right here on Fox 45 at 2 p.m.
In Baltimore County, 2 teenagers are facing charges related to an attempted break-in at a local gun shop. Police say they fled in a stolen car. The incident has law enforcement in Baltimore County criticizing the state's juvenile justice laws. Rebecca Pryor continues our team coverage.
Yeah, from the city to the county, police say that youth crime is running rampant, and some say that won't change until changes are made to the current juvenile justice reform laws.
Broken glass from a shattered display case. Damage left behind after police say 2 teens attempted a brazen burglary.
An officer on routine patrol came across 2 subjects as they were attempting to break into a local sporting goods shop.
Joyce Stewart with the Baltimore County Police Department says it happened around 11 p.m. Thursday. The suspects, just 13 and 16 years old, trying to force their way inside Clyde's Sports Shop, a store filled with guns and ammunition. When the teens were approached by police, Stewart says they fled in a stolen Kia, but after a short chase,
with the assistance of aviation as well as K9, we were able to locate the 2 teens and place them under arrest.
Due to their ages, police prevented from sharing what charges or consequences the teens may face or if they have prior offenses, although Stewart is able to say this is just the latest incident contributing to a troubling trend.
We are seeing an increase in juvenile crime overall.
And we're seeing this younger and younger.
Baltimore County Police Union President Dave Folderauer pointing to new juvenile justice reform laws as a major part of the problem.
We've got to roll back these laws because these kids aren't even getting into the system so that we can do anything.
He says limiting what consequences children face is what's causing crimes like these to skyrocket across the state.
They weren't in there to go steal fishing lures. They were breaking in to steal guns. Now, maybe the police department can't say it, but I can. And that is really concerning. These are the Jill Carter crime bills, and they're messed up.
Police add that the teens were not detained. Instead, they were released to their parents. Reporting from Baltimore County Police Headquarters, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
If you feel you're not being heard, we want you to contact your lawmakers. We have their phone numbers and email addresses listed right there on your screen. To reach House Speaker Adrian Jones, you can call 410-841-3800. For Senate President Bill Ferguson, the number is 410-841-3600.
And if you want to connect with elected leaders who represent you, our website makes it easy. Go to foxbaltimore.com, click the menu at the top left of your screen and select Lawmakers. You can enter your home address to pull up your elected official at the local, state, or federal level.
We are seeing a few showers still lingering around the state. Now, most of the rain is continuing to move south and east. So the eastern shore dealing with some of those showers along with southern Maryland, but we're looking at mostly dry weather tomorrow. I'll let you know what to expect for the rest of the weekend in my Weather Authority forecast. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock tonight, a blistering report on the Baltimore Police Department's consent decree and frustrations from residents. We take a closer look at what some are calling failures in the department and how it could have played a role in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. Former President Donald Trump cashing in on his mugshot, how he's doing it, and a look at what comes next in the case against him. And after the break, one Baltimore City resident shares her frustration with Mayor Brandon Scott, the comment he made during a recent town hall that has her speaking out.
The remark was very disrespectful and offensive as far as I am concerned, and as far as a lot of members of 21217 are concerned.
A Baltimore City resident is expressing her frustration with Mayor Brandon Scott after his series of town halls with Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley.
The two leaders have been holding those town halls all month long. There have been 6 so far. The last one is next week.
Fox 45's Keith Daniels has been at several of those meetings now and joins us live with a closer look tonight. Keith?
Well, Maxine and Kai, we caught up with a woman who says that she's been paying very close attention to the city town halls, and she's been listening carefully to the acting police commissioner and the mayor. She says words matter, and tonight, something the mayor said.
Anywhere in the city, you have to be respectful.
It's the end of the week for Mayor Brandon Scott and Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley, both wrapping up another round of community meetings.
Neighbors would be more comfortable speaking to the police if they were out of their cars.
The mayor and his nominee for police commissioner
hopefully will be the next police commissioner,
taking on questions and concerns from residents across the city.
How are we going to keep up the momentum and pick out these police officers that are corrupt?
A big problem we have in our community is loitering.
But it's one particular question-answer session.
Everyone has an opportunity to be heard tonight.
That resonates for city resident.
Because he's so puffed up.
Joyce Butler.
You need to be the mayor.
A remark made by the mayor.
We in West Baltimore. Chill out. Thank you, sir.
The remark was very disrespectful and offensive as far as I am concerned, and as far as a lot of members of 21217 are concerned.
21217, a zip code in West Baltimore along the Pennsylvania Avenue corridor. The community where the mayor and acting police commissioner held a city town hall Tuesday at the Shake and Bake Family Fun Center. There that night,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of there.
One man who didn't hold back, confronting the mayor on the city's Squeegee Collaborative.
I was at the Squeegee Collaborative, which started 30 minutes late, and the mayor was absent. This meeting also started 30 minutes late. It's clear that you don't want to hear from citizens.
Two things. The Squeegee Collaborative didn't start 30 minutes late.
It did. I was there. You weren't there. So how are you going to say? No, but I was there.
We in West Baltimore. Chill out. Thank you, sir. I guess he doesn't want his question asked.
You're not answering. You're telling me that you weren't late when I was there.
Am I going to talk?
You weren't there. So how are you going to tell me that it didn't start?
We going to be emotional or we going to talk?
That remark was, let me think of a word. I'm trying to think of something and be really, really tactful here. It was egregious.
Butler, so moved by the mayor's response, she showed up at the community meeting last night in South Baltimore to ask the mayor about his comment made in West Baltimore.
West Baltimore, chill. My question is there more of a need to chill in 21217 than any other zone in Baltimore City?
The mayor responds, saying basically it was the man who showed disrespect. Still, for Butler.
So you're in 21217, so you feel like you got to be gangster? No, you don't. You need to be the mayor. You don't have to act like that. You need to be the mayor.
Well, we reached out to the mayor's office for comment. So far tonight, no reply. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. Some sharp criticism for Baltimore police when it comes to the consent decree, the frustration from residents, and why some say the problems could have played a role in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting.
Will Donald Trump's co-defendants turn on him? It could be key to the prosecution, but how likely is it? I'm Scott Thuman in Washington with a look at the case and how he's already cashing in on that mugshot.
We are still dealing with a few showers around parts of the state. Those will clear shortly after midnight, and then we're looking at a mostly dry but very hot day tomorrow. We'll reach the low 90s. But notice Sunday and Monday, temperatures a little bit lower. I'll let you know when to expect the next chance for showers and potential storms in my Weather Authority forecast.
As we head to break, a live look over the Inner Harbor looks like a great start to what's shaping up to be a beautiful weekend.
Fox 45 News has continuing coverage. This is the mugshot that has the world's attention and could have a massive impact on the race for the White House.
Former President Donald Trump turned himself in for arrest Thursday, but by Friday morning was already cashing in on it. The charges, though, may be a bit more complicated than his other indictments.
Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman has the story.
It is an image that in past political eras would have doomed a candidate. Yet Donald Trump actually fundraising off of it, putting his mugshot on everything from T-shirts to coffee mugs to beer koozies, and boldly proclaiming prosecutors made a mistake by charging him with racketeering crimes.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
In my book, Get Trump, I predicted all 4 of these indictments. What I did not predict is a RICO charge because it's so out of the ballpark.
While defense attorney Alan Dershowitz says proving the 19 defendants were all conspiring together is tough, he admits prosecutors have one distinct advantage.
You can always assume that somebody will turn on a defendant because remember, they have so much leverage. They can threaten years and years in prison.
But if they don't, he says, RICO charges get trickier. Yet the district attorney confident the evidence is there.
Acts of racketeering activity are crimes that are alleged to have been committed in furtherance of the criminal enterprise.
Probably the prosecutor's advantage in state court in Georgia is she does have experience with these cases. She's brought them, as you pointed out, against other individuals. This is still an unwieldy prosecution, and it's going to be a challenge in the courtroom.
Especially as prosecutors initially stated they plan to try all 19 defendants together. Congressman Ken Buck, also a former prosecutor.
You know, RICO has to do with organized crime. If this is a crime at all, I think it's a disorganized crime, and I don't think these folks are willing to testify against the former president of the United States.
And all of this could become more difficult if Trump, like his former chief of staff, requests that his case be moved to a potentially more friendly federal court. Attorneys telling me today that argument alone could go all the way to the Supreme Court. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Our coverage of the juvenile crime crisis continues at 10:30. Why some community leaders, lawmakers need to step up and the action they're demanding tonight.
I'm Kayla Gaskins. Coming up, we break down the debate on how to address America's crisis in the classroom.
In a city in crisis, a blistering report on the consent decree says Baltimore police is failing to do community policing. The federal judge who oversees the department's reform says that failure is another missing piece to the Brooklyn Day mass shooting.
Fox 45's Vincent Hill is hearing from residents who are addressing their frustration with what they say is police sitting around and doing nothing.
Judge James Bradar says BPD dropped the ball leading up to the Brooklyn Day mass shooting, while Acting Commissioner Worley is still trying to figure out how that ball was dropped.
Why was nobody aware that this incident was going to happen?
But according to the report, it comes down to police getting out of their cars and getting to know their community, something residents are telling Worley is not happening.
And engage in community policing beyond sitting in the cars and driving around.
I have over 100 videos on my phone of you all's police watching these people commit crimes.
Fox 45 cameras capturing our own video showing officers sitting in their cars in high crime areas.
You will learn nothing just driving through a neighborhood in your car and just being visible.
Former Gwinnett County, Georgia Assistant Police Chief Curtis Clemens says something like Brooklyn Day could happen again if BPD doesn't take community policing serious.
Then you can find out who are the true players of the criminal activity in the community.
Instead of being on calls like this.
Now I'll put you back on the vehicle and train track.
In the hours before, shots ring out, killing 2 and injuring 28. Clemens says community policing is a game changer in stopping things like the Brooklyn Day mass shooting from ever happening.
Once you build the trust and the confidence of the people who actually live in the community, and that changes the whole ballgame.
Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Well, Fox 45 News will follow the consent decree and push for answers on the Brooklyn Day mass shooting report. You can find our past reporting on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Continuing coverage now of the juvenile crime crisis. Baltimore County Police say 2 teenagers, 13 and 16 years old, broke into a sports shop last night, a store filled with guns and ammunition. Police say the teens got away in a stolen car. The Baltimore County Police Union president saying this is just the latest example of juvenile crime in the county, and state laws are a big part of the problem.
We've got to roll back these laws because these kids aren't even getting into the system so that we can do anything. They weren't in there to go steal fishing lures. They were breaking in to steal guns. Now, maybe the police department can't say it, but I can. And that is really concerning. These are the Jill Carter crime bills, and they're messed up.
The FOP president referring to the Juvenile Interrogation Act, which keeps police from questioning young people, and the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, which prevents children under 13 from being charged with most crimes. That law comes into play when it comes to an 11-year-old who police say has stolen cars more than a dozen times but cannot be charged because he's too young. Senator Jill Carter, who introduced the bill, has pushed back on criticism, saying officers do have options when it comes to juvenile offenders.
They cannot enter into an entire life of criminality, and they can understand the consequences for their actions.
Fox 45 News sent questions to Carter's office today asking, do you believe the current juvenile justice laws need to change? And should there be penalties for kids of this age when they commit crimes? She didn't respond to our questions today, but Fox 45 News has an interview with her scheduled for Monday.
We spoke with the spokesperson for the city activist group Peace on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock. She says residents are frustrated with repeat offenders and juvenile crime.
This legislature is controlled by Democrats, and I'm not saying that this is a partisan issue. I'm saying that all of the players, all of the decision makers in Annapolis, the governor in Baltimore City, the mayor, everyone is a Democrat. The power is in their court. The ball is in their court. If they wanted to make changes today, they could. We've known we can call a special session. It's been done for anything as much as, lottery, the slot machines. So I can't imagine that this is not a more pressing issue, human lives, than slot machines.
That brings us to our question of the day. Do you think the General Assembly is responsible for the surge in violent crime among juveniles? So far, 97% of those who voted say yes. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
If you feel you're not being heard, we want you to contact your lawmakers. We have their phone numbers and email addresses listed right there on your screen to reach House Speaker Adrian Jones. You can call 410-841-3800. For Senate President Bill Ferguson, the number is 410-841-3600. And if you want to connect with more of the elected leaders who represent you where you live, our website makes it easy. Just go to foxbaltimore.com. Click on the menu on the top left of your screen and select Lawmakers. From there, you can enter your home address to pull up the elected officials who represent you in your city or town, on the state level in Annapolis, and even your members of Congress.
And Arundel County police are investigating 2 shootings in Glen Burnie. One of them was deadly. The first happened yesterday morning on Southampton Drive. Police say a 27-year-old man walked into a hospital after being shot in the arm. They say several cars were damaged by gunfire. Well, the second shooting happened after midnight along on Bruton Court. Police say 2 men were shot. One of them died. The other is expected to survive. Both are from Baltimore. Anyone with information about either shooting should call Anne Arundel County Police.
Armstrong Williams also weighing in on the crisis in the classroom and the impact that poor education has on young people. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins breaks down the debate on how to turn around the poor academic performance plaguing school districts around the country.
The battle over the best way to educate the next generation remaining red hot.
Do you think parents are becoming more skeptical of public education?
Conservative commentator Armstrong Williams hosting a Sinclair town hall this week unpacking the current crisis in American classrooms as test scores slip to the lowest in decades, according to the nation's report card. The panelists debating school choice, where parents can use their tax dollars to pay for an education of their choosing. School choice advocate Corey DeAngelis championing the measure.
Maybe parents know their kids better than bureaucrats sitting in offices hundreds of miles away.
Critic Dr. Josh Cowan arguing while school choice may address social or cultural disagreements parents have with certain school systems, the data shows it does not improve academic outcomes.
As bad as some children might be doing in some of the public schools in some of the areas, they do a lot worse when they transfer to private schools using these vouchers.
Stacey Childs, a member of the Texas State Board of Education, says the answer to increasing academic outcomes is increasing teacher salaries.
I can't even pay my bills when the paycheck comes. Then why would I feel excited about meeting your standards? Why would I even want to?
The debate also focusing on the power and influence of teachers' unions, a charged topic following school closures and recent pushes among union leaders for educators to implement DEI ideas in the classroom.
These teacher unions think that they can displace the role of parents in a child's life. So it is absolutely no surprise that parents don't like that very much. They want out.
With a record number of states expanding school choice this year, the question is if this momentum will continue for 2024. I'm Kayla Gaskins reporting.
Maryland Public School students show signs of improvement in math and English, according to state test scores released this week. Baltimore City still ranks lowest when it comes to both subjects. Students across Maryland scored better in English than math. State Superintendent Dr. Muhammad Chowdhury says the low math scores are connected to COVID school closures. He says schools should have returned to in-person learning sooner.
When you look at nationally the level of learning loss that happened, there is strong correlations you can see between how long you waited to bring back kids in person and we waited too long.
Dr. Chowdhury's future is uncertain. The school board has delayed a vote on whether to extend his contract twice. You can find all of Project Baltimore's reporting on the failures within some city schools on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We're taking a look now at the Fox Box. Top left Republicans are already looking ahead to 2028, announcing that Houston will host its national convention. The city had been a Republican stronghold, but has been solidly Democratic since 2016.
Top right, a Missouri judge ruled today that a ban on gender care for minors can take effect Monday as scheduled. The ruling rejects a plea from families of trans children who asked for a temporary block on the ban while they challenge it in court.
Bottom left, the votes are still being tallied, but United Auto Workers so far have overwhelmingly approved union leaders to call a strike against the big three automakers in Detroit. The union wants 40% pay raises over 4 years, the restoration of pensions for new hires, and an end to wage tiers. The vote does not guarantee a strike will be called.
The bottom right, Instacart is going public. The grocery delivery company filed paperwork with the SEC today. It will be traded on NASDAQ under CART. That change should happen in the coming weeks.
A new study shows the pandemic-era expansion of federal food stamps is responsible for increasing food prices over the past 2 years. National correspondent Janae Bowens has the details.
High prices are frustrating Americans across the country.
The food is just ridiculous. It's just so expensive.
A new study from the Foundation for Government Accountability shows the expansion of SNAP, also known as the food stamp program, is helping to drive up those grocery prices by at least 15%. They blame the Biden administration for increasing SNAP benefits by an average of 27% back in 2021.
It's kind of hard out here.
Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has been sounding the alarm for years on how government relief drives inflation. This is what he said in 2021. That's after President Joe Biden signed the $1.9 trillion coronavirus stimulus package.
I think this is the least responsible macroeconomic policies we've had in the last 40 years. I think fundamentally it's driven by intransigence on the Democratic left and intransigence and completely unreasonable behavior in the whole of the Republican Party.
But when it comes to food stamps, advocates say the extra funding is needed.
Boost to SNAP benefits in late 2021 reduced poverty for Black and Latina people and help reduce racial disparities. So as we think about improving SNAP, our eye must remain on how we can reduce those disparities and not increase them by making harmful cuts.
Food stamp funding will be a key focus when Congress returns next month. Now, House Democrats sent a letter to Speaker Kevin McCarthy raising concerns over Republicans' threats to cut SNAP eligibility and benefits, potentially setting up another budget battle on Capitol Hill. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
Growing evidence shows pollution is linked to a higher risk of anxiety, depression, even dementia. What's the connection? Spotlight on America investigates why pollution could be bad for your brain.
And we are looking at a mostly dry night with temperatures dropping to the 70s. Then it's another hot and steamy day tomorrow. I'll let you know when to expect lower temperatures in my Weather Authority forecast.